Welcome in, everyone. I'm a little bit late today. I apologize. I was just getting the finalization on our August immersion, which is just announced in the email. So I'm very excited for this one. I feel like it's just a long time coming. We're gonna be doing it's called, I'm sorry, Vitality. I'm still getting the name down. Vitality, Rigor, and Release. So the idea is we're gonna be doing vinyasa and meditation throughout the month. And a lot of you asked for this, like a wide range of different types of practices for, twists, back bends, heart openers, twist, heart openers, hip openers, shoulder openers. We're gonna be doing the full spectrum of the yoga practice and all of the different areas of the body in one immersion so that we can feel better on a daily basis. But we're also gonna be meditating together, guided meditations, in order to, for better mental clarity, reduce stress, and ultimately to find greater self-awareness and to get back to that feeling of energy. So in yoga, they call this prana. Prana is the energy body. In more science terms, we're talking about the nervous system here, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So meditation is going to help us to gain the tools in order to get back to the rest and digest, which is parasympathetic. It's the down regulation. It's our ability to go to sleep at night. It's our ability to relax, to just enjoy the moment. It's the serotonin, which is the release of a hormone inside of us that makes us feel content, right? This is all kind of associated with the parasympathetic, and this is a lot of what meditation can help us with. Meditation can also help us with focus and clarity in the moment in order to take action. So meditation is not just a relaxing practice, and typically it's not relaxing. Actually, it produces relaxation or enables us to get rid of or to organize all of the nonsense in our mind and our body that then allows us to relax. But it also allows us to be deliberately and intentful in taking action. So meditation is both sides. It helps us with both, okay? But we're gonna be going in, rigor and release is the idea. So rigor is gonna be our vinyasa practice first, where we're gonna be getting into the physical body, getting in a nice challenging practice before our meditation practice. So I'm very excited for this because it's something that, it's really near and dear to my practice, how I like to practice, kind of get in there, do some intense movement that produces some heart rate momentum and muscle activation, keeps my body feeling good, and enables me to sit for meditation. We're not going to be so heavily focused on peak postures as we are for as we are getting into the experience of deliberately going into sympathetic nervous system, which the yogis would call the Pingala Nadi, the energy channel of the sun, and then deliberately trying to shift from that to the parasympathetic, which is, the yogis call this the Ida Nadi, which is the energy channel of the moon, the more relaxation. Okay, so we're gonna be using tools within the vinyasa practice and within the meditation practice, and maybe some pranayama as well, to get this connection to both of these sides so that we can then take those into our daily life. Because if we can deliberately move into parasympathetic and sympathetic, then we have control over our energy systems throughout our day. So we don't stay up here when we need to be down here. Because if we need to be down here and we're up here, then our up here energy, this go energy, is slowly going to be diminishing, where it feels like we're fatigued all the time and don't have the energy to stay up here because we don't bounce back. It's like if you don't sleep at night, then the next day you're not going to have the energy to be awake. And if you're not fully awake, then you don't sleep. And then there's this kind of like mid-range place where you're just sort of surviving, right? We want to get away from that. We want to get back into that that ability to be fully present, fully awake, be completely alert, and then also to go the opposite route, to completely relax, to release, to get into that state of just being here right now and taking in the experience of everything that's going on. So, okay, let's get back to this immersion, but I wanted to just let you know that that is now available if you want to sign up for that. Oh, one real quick note. I made it available to share this immersion at a discounted rate with your friends. So they're gonna get your discount this month only. And so that discount code is, okay, so it's the discount code for your friends is Let's Practice Together. It's all lowercase, Let's Practice Together, LETSPRACTICETOGETHER. Let's Practice Together. So no apostrophe and no capitalizations. Okay, so that's available to share with your friends. So if you want to give them that extra discount code, the same as you for the month of August, I'd be delighted to bring in some of your friends into this practice. And again, I also put the full link. You can just copy and paste that in a text message or an email or your Facebook or whatever, Instagram messages or whatever. You can use that code and share it with your friends. That would be really great. We'd love to have some of your friends in this upcoming immersion. I think it'll be a real fun one for us to dive in together. Again, a combination of all levels vinyasa practices. So, you know, of course, it's always going to be accessible, and also guided meditations. The objective is for us to get back to feeling good, get back to our energy levels, the right to feel alive, awake and free and joyful, and also the right to rest and digest and relax. Okay, so Let's Practice Together is your friend's discount code, and I put the discount code already in the email for you, which is July 2021 member. July 2021 member is your discount code. Again, that's in the email, or you can just click the link in the email and it'll apply the code automatically. All right, so today, Vashisthasana side plank. Why I thought this one would be really great is because one, you're balancing on one hand. It's gonna require a tremendous amount of connection to your pinky and thumb. That's gonna be the side to side balance. Normally in arm balances and handstand, things like that, where we have two hands on the ground, the breaks are going to be these three middle fingers, which are still the case in Vashisthasana, but in side plank, really it's the side to side activity when you're on one hand that matters, right? So when you're on one foot, we know the big toe and the pinky toe control that side to side activity. It's really controlling inversion and eversion, rapid fire of trying to balance us side to side. When you're on one hand, it's the same way. We start getting into the side to side. The thumb controls pronation, whereas the pinky controls supination. If we get both of them pressing down evenly, then both the pronators and the supinators of the wrist, the ones that turn the palm down and turn the palm up, are going to be stable. They're going to be active in a way that's going to kind of lock us into a balanced position. So thumb and pinky, really important today for the hand. Still, the other three fingers must be active. And then in the ankle joint, we're going to learn how to evert the ankle, which we've done. But now we're going to learn how to evert it in order to try to come into a deeper back bend, let's say, or side bend, if you will, in side plank, in order to get the whole sole of the foot, which is going to give us a lot of stability on the ground. And then you're going to try to get big toe and pinky toe on the ground in side plank as well. So not, instead of the blade edge of the foot just being the only balance point, we're going to get the whole foot on the ground. Now, I will stress this, that you may not have that mobility available to you yet. That takes time. All right, so we're gonna start in child's pose, knees wide, arms out in front. And since today it's gonna be really important to connect to our pinky and thumbs of our hands, let's just start there. Press your thumbs down into the ground and your pinkies down into the ground. Of course, the other three fingers still active and pressing down through the metacarpals, which is going to be the power point. Okay, now also with your hands fully active, let's lift the armpits up, just get the backs of the shoulder muscles engaged. Enjoying a breath. And let's get a little longer in the sides of the body. So stretch your left arm forward more, and then your right arm forward more. And you're going to feel that your armpits want to drop down when you stretch forward more. And that's just because there's a muscle called latissimus dorsi that connects to the head of the arm bone, the armpit basically. And when it stretches, it's going to try to, you know, that tension increases. So it's going to pull the armpits down as a result, trying to find a way to stay shortened. You know, muscles don't like to lengthen necessarily all the time. They will hold a certain amount of tension, especially when your arms are down by your sides on a daily basis. They hold tension there. And that's okay. So we're gonna just kind of
Keep the armpits lifted today. Try to get latissimus dorsi to lengthen. It's not really the focus of the class, but it's good to get latissimus dorsi awake and active. So actually, when you lift the armpits up, it's oddly an activation of the latissimus dorsi at the same time. It's very hard to explain that. But it's when you deliberately activate it and press your hands down, it's a combination of muscle activations that's going to keep the armpits lifted and latissimus dorsi, as well as trapezius muscles back behind you, and the rhomboids will all help. They'll work together to keep the armpits lifted. Walk your hands off to the left side and stretch your right arm long. Together, let's breathe in the right rib cage. Keep the right armpit lifted. Let's connect to pinky and thumb on the right side especially. Breathe all the way from your right hip to your right pinky. Come back through center and walk over to the left. Side bending the left waist. Breathing into the left side. Just creating a little awakenment of these muscles along the left side body. Full side plank is quite a side bend in many respects. And you'll see the way that we're going to do it is a little more of a back bend as well. It makes it more accessible and ultimately a little bit easier to go deeper. Come back to the center. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Arch the back, look up. Exhale, round the spine, gaze towards your navel. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round, gaze inward. Inhale, arch, look up, tuck your toes and press your knees outward as you stick your bum up to the sky. Exhale, round, tuck your toe, point your feet. Squeeze your knees inward as you round. Inhale, tuck your toes, push your knees outward. Feel your outer hips engage as you go into anterior tilt. Exhale, point, squeeze in, round. Let's do a few more like that. Inhale, tuck toes, push knees out, stick buttocks up. Exhale, point feet and round. Inhale, press the knees out, arch the back. Exhale, point the feet. Round. Inhale, arch, look up, press the knees out. And now downward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back. Lift your heels up, bend your knees, and point your toes left, heels right. Side bend so that the left waistline is long. Push into your hands and breathe into the left side body. Lift the heels up, point toes right, heels left. Arch a little bit in the back, so stick your bum up to the sky. Push through your hands, breathe into the right side body. Back to center. Let's take a breath in. And out. Forward to plank pose on the inhale. Pause here, reconnect to your hands, pinky and thumb. The main focus for today. Stay strong in the pinky and thumb. Take a breath, look forward. As you exhale, place the knees down, lower all the way to the ground. Warming up the back muscles, lift the shoulders up first. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, release back down. This time, heart and hands. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the hands.
Exhale. Inhale, heart, hands, and feet. Exhale. Typically when I do that, I lift the feet before the hands, but heart, hands, feet sounds nicer. Inhale, lift heart, feet, then hands. Exhale. I'm going to do one more. Inhale, heart, feet, then hands. Exhale. All fours. Tuck the toes. Pause on all fours with toes tucked. You're going to extend the left leg back behind you into a modified side plank. With your right hand, let me see, I'm going to get a good angle here. I'm just going to change my view so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay, with your right hand, focus on your thumb and pinky. Now, I know a lot of teachers teach with this hand directly under your shoulder. It's just not, as far as biomechanics goes, just or any sort of structural support goes. This is great. Like, a pillar of support is really great, but what's stronger is a triangle. When you have one side of the body going on an angle and the other side of the body going on an angle, they push into each other, and that's where you have a lot more support than one angle like this. You would never build a house with one straight line like this and then a big diagonal this way, because this side would collapse, okay? But instead, you have, a roof has a nice angle where the pressure goes pushed into one another. So this side goes on a diagonal, and this side's on a diagonal. I'll show you from the side view. See how I'm not stacked shoulder over wrist. You're gonna find that it's even easier on the wrist anyway. So it's got a lot of benefits. Easier on the wrist because you're not fully here, which you could be, but again, it's less stable. But you see now we're on a triangulation of this hand is gonna be pushing into the ground. So big toe, let's go. Thumb and pinky press into the ground and then spin the bicep out a little bit. You see that? So turn the bicep forward. Pinky and thumb press into the ground, and also metacarpals, right? So push down through the front edge of the hand as well. And then see if while you're spinning your shoulder outward, you can turn your chest away from the shoulder. The shoulder spins out, the chest turns up towards the sky. Okay, let's switch sides. You take your left hand, again, out in front of the shoulder, and you can spin the left shoulder around. You're gonna feel that your chest likely sinks at first, and that's actually okay. So you can do that, and then once the shoulder is rotated around, you can then push or protract, push the shoulder blade away from the spine, or you can think about your spine moving away from your shoulder blade. Okay, then you're gonna turn on your hands. So the breaks, the three middle fingers, but really for today, that side to side is what matters. Thumb and pinky pressing into the ground. And you also notice that from the front angle, you'll see that my index finger is pointing straight forward. So I'm not straight forward with my hand this way. I'm turned out a little bit. Maybe this is a better angle. You can see that my index finger is forward or even slightly turned out. That's gonna be helpful to me. Okay, so pinky and thumb press down into the ground, and the bicep rotates out, and turn your chest away so the shoulder doesn't go with you. Keep the shoulder back. Turn the chest away from the shoulder. Pinky and thumb press down, and it's cool if you want to try to activate your bicep muscle. Here's another thing. It's like you try to bend it slightly without bending it. Okay, try to bend your elbow without bending it, and your bicep will turn on. That's another form of stability. You don't want to bend your elbow. You will fall down that way. You just want to try to activate your bicep, which is confusing. Rotate the arm out, thumb and pinky press into the ground, okay, and release. Sit back, child's pose.
Let's take a breath in and out. Activate your hands, grip your pinky and thumb and your three middle fingers, your breaks. Press down through the metacarpals, the power point in the hand. Come forward to all fours, inhale.
Tuck toes, downward facing dog.
Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step right foot forward as you exhale. Turn the back heel down, walk the hands to the inside of the right foot. Let's get prepped with our legs. So back inner thigh, lift it up and pull the back foot forward. Front foot, press down through the heel and drag the front heel back. Take a breath, lengthen the chest. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen. Feet are still active, legs are still active. And exhale, bow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lengthen. Pivot the back heel up, walk the hands back to the front. Inhale, straighten through the front leg. If you'd like, you can flex the front foot. Exhale, bow. Inhale, bend through the front knee. Down dog. Left leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. Pivot the back heel down, walk the hands to the inside of the left foot. From this place here, you're gonna pull your feet toward each other. So the back inner thigh, don't let it collapse, lift it up. Press the back foot down into the ground, drag it towards the front foot. Press the front heel down, drag it towards the back foot. You might have to sit your hips back a little bit in order to bend the elbows and bow. So we stay here as we breathe, or you can lift up on the inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows and bow. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, bend the elbows and bow. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. Okay, come back to center, inhale. Pivot the back heel up. Straighten through the front leg. Exhale, bow. Inhale, bend the knee. Step to down dog. Plank pose, inhale. Pinkies and thumbs, press down, lower, chaturanga. Slide hands and feet wide. Inhale, front body lifts, three-part cobra. Exhale, soften midsection down. Pull the low rib cage forward, up through the back of the neck. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step right foot forward. Hands to the front thigh, come up high lunge preparation. Get the legs strong. Pull the legs side to side. So there's some activation of the inner thighs, the adductors. We need to get these warmed up today. And then take the arms up to the sky. Keep the legs squeezing in side to side. Lift the sides of the ribs, get unlocked in the chest. Let's take 2 more breaths. One more breath. Please open up on the exhale, warrior 2. Move the groins back, sit the hips back and pull the feet toward each other. Get the inner thighs and hamstrings awaken. Let's awaken the shoulders as well while we're here. So I'm going to be bearing some weight on the shoulders. On the inhale, internally rotate the shoulders. As you exhale, externally rotate, turn the palms up, but rotate the biceps backwards. Inhale, internal. Exhale, external. Feet still pressing down and pulling toward each other. Inhale. Exhale. Reverse warrior, inhale. Side angle preparation, forearm to the thigh, hand to the hip.
Gather strength in the legs by moving your hips back, then pulling your feet toward each other. Press through the front heel, turn the belly, turn the chest, side angle modification. Left hand to the sky. Let's turn the palm to face forward, so you start to externally rotate the shoulder and reach over your ear. Really try to stretch the arm long. Once the arm is getting over your ear, do allow the shoulder to move towards the ear and stretch through your fingers. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Legs strong, pressing down and pulling toward each other. One more breath in. And as you exhale, both hands to the ground. Again, we're going to pivot the back heel up, straighten through the front leg, option to flex the foot. Exhale, bend the elbows and bow. Inhale, bend the knee. Step to Ardha Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Left leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. Hands to the front thigh, preparing high lunge prep. A micro tuck of the tailbone and squeeze the legs in side to side. Get your inner thighs active. Okay, keeping your thighs squeezing in side to side, start to unroll the upper body. Back leg straight as you can. Inhale, reach the arms up. Stay strong in the legs, but light and lifted in the midsection. Open up as you exhale, warrior two. Move the hips back, groins back, and draw the feet toward one another. Really get the inner thighs and hamstrings active. Okay, taking the arms out to the sides. Inhale, internally rotate the arms. Exhale, externally rotate. Inhale, internally rotate the arms. Exhale, externally rotate. Inhale, internally rotate the arms. Exhale, external rotation. Reverse warrior, inhale. Side angle preparations, forearm to the thigh, hand on the hip. Groins stay back, so right hip stays back. Pull the feet toward each other. Press through the left heel and drag your feet. And with the activation of your front hamstrings, adductors, back adductors, turn the belly and turn the chest towards the sky. Can you leave your left shoulder behind? You see how my left shoulder tends to go forward when I turn my spine? So you can leave the left shoulder back. Okay, that takes a little bit of practice and training the back body muscles to stay engaged while twisting the spine. It'll also train your rhomboids on the left side to pull the spine towards the shoulder blade. Now take your right arm up to the sky, and if you can, really reach through the hand and reach over your ear. Shoulder close to the ear as you reach. Feet are still pressing down and dragging towards one another. Left shoulder is still back, right shoulder's up towards the ear, really reaching through the fingertips. And slow release, both hands to the ground. Pivot the back heel up. Option to flex the front foot. Inhale, straighten through the leg. Exhale, bow. Inhale, bend the knee. Step to down dog. Pay attention to the pinky and thumb. Remind yourself where they are as you come forward. Plank pose. Inhale, pinky and thumb really active. Knees down, lower chaturanga. Send the feet a little wider, hands wide. Inhale, three-part cobra, lift up. Exhale, soften. Shoulders back, press the low rib cage forward. Lift up through the belly, up through the heart, through the center of the skull. And release. All fours, hands and knees. Okay, let's come to the right forearm. And you can come to your right hip with knees bent. Okay, so just to learn what we'll be doing, at least in a more stable position, you try to, this requires nothing to do with the hand really, or the feet. It's just going to get the side body awakened. So you're gonna try to squeeze the underside of your right rib cage. So they're called the QL and the oblique muscles. And you're gonna squeeze those toward each other as you turn your chest slightly to the sky. And notice if your right shoulder punches forward, move it back. Move your right shoulder back and lay back a little bit. You can push the hand behind the left head, look towards the sky. So it's a little more of a back bend, heart opener as it is a side bend as well, okay? Come down slowly. We'll switch sides. I'll give you another angle while we're at it, just in case you have questions about that. You see the left shoulder, whatever weight-bearing shoulder is on the ground, will tend to punch forward. That's just where we're used to holding our shoulders. So you're gonna try to move your shoulder back like this, okay? And keep the kind of a little bit of retraction in the spine to start, at least. Eventually you can push like the shoulder, you know, see the upper shoulder blade can be pushed and widened in order to really gather strength. But you don't want to push the shoulder forward. That's different muscle activation. So you can move the top wingtip here away from the spine, but then you're going to turn the spine a little towards it, so you're more in a back bend. Okay, now lift the hips up, utilizing the QL and oblique muscles on the left side and back body. You can turn if you want, take your hand behind your right side of your head. Try to relax the back of the head towards the ground. Okay, hip down, slow release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Let's enjoy a full breath in. Full breath out. 2 more like that, just really stretching through your down dog, pushing the hips up and back. Slowly walk the feet to the front of the yoga mat. Now we gotta get the ankles warmed up, so bring the hands out in front. You can start by rolling to the outer edges of your feet a little bit. Okay, so kind of lifting the instep of your foot like so. Then switch it up, evert the ankles and lift the outer edges of the feet up. You're gonna see that the thighs will roll in a little, okay, and hopefully the muscles along the outer shins here will start to awaken, okay, and then go the opposite, roll. And when you roll the outer edges of the feet, you're gonna feel that the thighs roll out slightly. Okay, evert the feet, the thighs will roll in. Outer edges of the feet lift up. Invert the feet, thighs roll out. Inner edges of the feet lift up. Evert the feet, outer edges of the feet lift up. Thighs roll in, and then invert the feet. Okay, they each have their benefits at different times. Today we're going to be focusing on everting. So let's go to everting the ankles and pressing the big toes down. Okay, now with everted ankles, press the backs of the legs apart. Get the hamstrings moving away from one another until you feel your outer hips engage. Keeping that, attempt to articulate a little anterior tilt in the pelvis. So instead of this like this, a little more this like this. So instead of this, rounded low back, thighs rolled out, evert the ankles, turn the legs in, press the backs of the legs apart, and arch the low back. Watch me for one more time. I'm going to show you the transformation between the two. So here's one way. This is what most people would do. Here's the other way. Okay, then bow forward. So everted ankles, thighs turned in, backs of the hamstrings pushing out, low back is trying to lift the back of the pelvis up. All right, hands to the hips, rise up to stand. All right. Let's come into chair pose preparation, feet wide, hands on the thighs. We'll warm up the ankles as per kind of usual for us. You'll start by rocking back and forth, flexing, plantar flexing, dorsiflexing, plantar flexion, going back this way. The fronts of the shins and the backs of the calves alive. And when you rock into plantar flexion, by the way, put more weight in the inside of the feet. Many people struggle with that. We're going to do a little exercise in a moment to assist in that action. Okay. Now just in this position, roll to the outer edges of your feet, and you're going to feel your knees kind of go out like this. Then roll the inside edges of the feet, pick up the outer edge of the feet, everting the feet. We'll go back and forth a few times. Don't overdo the inversion, because that's really where people sprain their ankles, is when we overly invert. Okay, you know, it's a controlled experiment, but if you were to step off of a curb, your foot would roll this way, and that would cause an issue. So, you know, we want to strengthen these everters in order to evert, in order to protect from too much inversion, which would be a sprained ankle at the worst. Okay, so now evert slightly by pressing through the big toes, pushing through the heels outward, and sit low. Lift the chest, reach the arms up, and while you're everted in your feet, see if you can reach your pinky toes to the ground. It's a little bit harder because you're slightly more everted, so the pinky toe is going to struggle to get there. See if you can work on that. Lift the chest. 2 more breaths. And bow forward. Halfway lift, inhale. And step the left foot back. I'm just reading a comment. I'll get back to you, Dag, in a second. Rise up, high lunge. Squeeze the legs in. Open up, warrior 2. Reverse warrior, inhale. Side angle, but this time you're gonna go past the preparation, go right down, hand to the inside of the foot. Sway the groins back, pull your feet toward each other. Turn slowly the belly towards the sky while trying to keep the hips back. The right shoulder again is going to try to punch forward. Let's try to move it back. And some of you might be able to kind of exaggerate the external rotation of the upper arm by turning your palm backwards, and maybe fingertips here. Some of you might have the rotation to be able to bring the heel of the hand down. I don't in my arm. I don't have the rotation to do that without hurting the wrist. So I just rotate the best I can on fingertips, turn the chest, left hand up, maybe the left arm over your ear. Let's do 2 more breaths. All right, left hand to the hip. Take the right hand now outside the right foot. You're gonna turn your chest down a little and turn the back toes in. Start to straighten through the right leg for Trikonasana triangle pose. So the left hip turns down slightly. The torso even turns down slightly to start in order to straighten the leg. Now, try to evert the ankles slightly. So pick up the outer edge of the foot a little and press down through the big toe. You're gonna feel probably a cramp in the side of your shin if you do that well, especially in this pose. Now, most people turn the foot in a little bit. They hook the foot in triangle. See if you can actually have the big toe facing straight forward. See if this gives you a better angle. So instead of the foot turning in a little, have the big toe facing straight forward and try to lift the outer edge of the foot the best of your ability. Big toe down. You can have your pinky toe up for this, just really working the outer shin muscles. Then option to turn the chest a little towards the sky and left arm up to the sky, Utthita Trikonasana triangle pose. Those of you that were really liking the neck work, you can think about your left ear moving towards the ground. You can even take your left hand behind, the best of your ability, behind your head to kind of lean back and lay the back of the head down towards the ground a little bit, specifically the left ear. All right, bend the right knee, both hands to the ground. We're gonna step right to plank pose. Chaturanga, exhale. Feet a little wide, hands wide, inhale, lift. Exhale, soften. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Some of you, if you want to warm up your hamstrings more, you can actually flex your feet and pull your heels towards your buttocks. Show you the side angle, okay? So if you're here, you pull your heels towards your buttocks, strengthen the hamstrings. Some of you that might jam up your low back if you're not pressing the rib cage forward enough, so be mindful. Okay, and release. I'm just gonna take a moment to look at Dag's question. So by doing the side plank variation, my upper knee is lifting when I lift up the hips. Yeah, okay, so that's Dag, so when you're in the, that's normal. Your outer hip muscle, on both sides, when you engage one outer hip muscle, the other one wants to activate. So when you pressed your bottom knee down to lift your hips up, your top hip muscles wanted to activate too. They kind of work in tandem together. They're used to that, maintaining stability at one time. You can train your legs to stay together. It's not so important today because we're actually going to intentionally move our legs apart. But you can train your legs to squeeze together, place a block between your legs and squeeze a block. So we'll start there. Why not just kind of give that to you? Come over to the outer edge of your right foot and right forearm. You're gonna take a block either between your shins or your upper thighs. Either way, you're gonna squeeze the block and turn the legs inward. Many of you are gonna struggle with this, okay? You start with your elbow underneath your shoulders at first, but the trajectory of push is gonna bring your shoulder back towards the feet. So you take your left fingertips to the ground, squeeze the right rib cage towards the left rib cage. Now you're gonna press your right outer foot down to get the right hip active. Okay, with the block there, it makes it a little easier because your feet are separate, but you're gonna turn your legs in and squeeze the block by turning your legs in. Get your hips up high. Now some of you, by trying to squeeze the block, you'll turn off the bottom hip and your bottom hip won't be able to lift up. So you have to kind of try to figure out how do you lift your bottom hip up and keep the top leg down. Okay, slowly release. We're gonna transition to the other side. Rolling on over. Okay, so you've got this block between your legs. You're gonna turn your legs in. When you're on this side plank position here, you're gonna have to first squeeze the left ribs up towards the sky. That automatically is gonna move your shoulder back behind the elbow. We want that. Flex your feet as best you can and even evert them so that your pinky toe side of the foot is pressing more into the ground. Now, first start by pressing down into the outer edge of the bottom foot to lift the hips up, okay? And then you can take your right hand up if you wish, squeeze the hips to the sky, and then try to squeeze the block at the same time that your hips are lifting up, okay? So you're doing both. This is mostly just a side plank to get the outer hips awake. Okay, and then release. But when I say the outer hips, I mean the outer hips, the bottom leg, but the top leg, we're using our adductors. So the body gets a little confused. Okay, come to all fours, hands and knees. But that's what muscle coordinations are so good at. When we do these things, when we practice in this way where we're deliberate about which muscles we're activating, you're creating new patterns, which is magnificent because then you have the autonomy to activate whatever you like. That's the best part, is you're not a slave to whatever patterns you've built up in your childhood. You now have the ability to create new patterns. Okay, come to downward facing dog. Let's revisit pinky and thumb in your down dog. Press them down to the ground and push shoulders to the ears, hips up and back. Take a moment. You might notice the difference between your right and left hip since we only did a little extended sequence on the right, but not on the left. Please lift the heels on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, walk, step, or hop if you wish to the front of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. Inhale, chair pose, bend the knees hands to the thighs. We're going to do it with everted ankles. So lift the outer edges of the feet and big toes pressed down. Pinky toes are going to stay lifted for this variation. And push the heels out. Reach the arms up. Full breath in. Full breath out. 2 more. And release the hands, but stand up. First exercise to strengthen the everting muscles. And we'll go with this angle, I think is probably best. You're gonna take your big toes to touch, ankles slightly apart to start, okay? Just to start. So that the reason why is I don't want you having your thighs turned out. I'd like you to have your thighs turned in. So to turn the legs in a little bit, the heels go out. Okay, but as you rise up, I'm going to ask you to try to squeeze the ankle bones together. Okay, so I'll keep that angle for you, a nice close up on the ankles. So when you're standing normally, your heels are apart and big toes are touching. Then evert your ankles so that the ankle bones try their best to touch. So you lift the outer edge of the feet and maybe start to get the ankle bones to touch. Now, for most people, this is almost impossible to begin with when you first learn because we don't have that strength of eversion to articulate the ankle bones to come together. That's a lot of strength in the outer shins and of course a lot of mobility of the inversion muscles. Okay, so then do your best to keep the ankle bones squeezing together as you come up. You're gonna notice that I struggle with this, keeping the inner ankles to touch without rolling the legs out like this, right? So the thighs turned in, ankles to touch. Most people don't know how to balance this way. In other words, when you get up on your toes, your ankles splay out like this. That's where you're used to working the muscles. See if you can actually change that for today. Get your everting muscles to awaken. Think about squeezing the outer ankles in, and that eventually might get your everting muscles, the fibularis muscle group, to awaken and get your ankle bones to touch, okay, and release. Now, most people really just don't have access to that in the beginning, but the attempt to do so is what's going to develop the strength of these muscles. The attempt to get your ankle bones together is getting the nervous system on board with activating those muscles, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but eventually it will happen if you continue to work on it, okay? Come to chair pose, inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Right foot back as you exhale. Rise, high lunge, inhale. Open up, Vira, 2, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse warrior. Side angle preparation, actually right into side angle pose, hand to the inside of the foot. Now some of you will have the ability to spin the left arm all the way around, all the way at the bicep, okay? And maybe get the heel of the hand to the ground if possible. I have more external rotation on this side, so it's a bit more accessible. You can start to turn the chest away from the shoulder while it's fully externally rotated without pressing the shoulder forward. You want to keep the shoulder blade back, or shoulder blade retracted in this case, and move the spine towards the shoulder blade. Take the right arm up to the sky. Now find your pinky and thumb. If you have the full palm on the ground, find the pinky and thumb. I mean, either way, if you just have fingertips, find pinky and thumb as well and press them down. Okay, and slow to release. We're going to take both hands down for a moment. Left hand goes outside the left foot and back a bit. Back toes turn in, back hip turns down slightly as we begin to straighten through the left leg. Now, pick up your left foot for a moment and dial it out so that the big toe faces straight forward. Okay, it's going to look like your shin comes down and then your foot kind of turns out slightly. That's what we want. So the big toe straight forward. So the instep is one long straight line. Okay, and then see, is it possible to evert the foot. So try to get the outer edge of the foot to lift up slightly there. Keeping that right hand to the hip. Again, keep the foot everted so this outer shin muscles, the fibularis muscles, are awake. Then turn your chest. And as you do so, you're gonna find that your left shoulder, like mine, kind of punches forward like this. Is it possible, instead of having the shoulder punch forward, to move it back and turn the chest at the same time while keeping the foot everted? Maybe the right hand comes to the sky. Okay, and release. Bend the knee. Step to plank pose, inhale. Pinky and thumb, chaturanga. Slide the hands and feet wide, inhale, lift the front body. Again, option as you exhale, soften the spine to flex the feet and pull the heels towards the buttocks. Inhale. Exhale, release. That pose we did in the heart opening immersion. Come to all fours. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. All right, come to this side of your right foot and side plank on the right side. So left fingertips, find your pinky and thumb, move your shoulder toward the hips, hike your hips up. So you're gonna go back a little bit towards your feet and see if when you do so, you can start to evert the bottom foot and try to reach, you see the big toe towards the ground there. It's okay if your left foot lifts up, try to turn the chest, big arc, big side bend. Okay, so you're gonna try to get the right instep of your foot, the big toe and big toe mound towards the ground. Your left foot might kind of travel back behind you. See if it can just kind of rest on top of the right. If you want, you could squeeze your legs together. You could also squeeze a block. Big side bend in your side plank. Pinky and thumb pressing into the ground on the right side, right hand. Okay, bend the knees to take the knees to the ground and release. Okay, so we got a few things going on. You might be asking questions like, wait, how do I get the instep of my foot to come down, the big toe and the big toe mound to come to the ground in side plank? Well, that requires a tremendous amount of eversion of the ankle, but also a tremendous lift of the hips and a big, big side bend in the waistline. Okay, let me just see here. Sorry, I have to leave early. We'll catch up later. No worries. Thanks for tuning in. Ailsa? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Okay, so, or is it Isla? Maybe the S is silent. Okay, so the next side, what you're gonna do is try to lift your hips way up to the sky. That will help to get the instep of the foot down, but then you're gonna really evert the foot and try to reach the big toe to the ground, just like you did a moment ago when you were trying to get the inner ankles together. That's eversion of the ankle. So let's go from plank, roll to the outside edge of your left, and move your weight. See, my shoulder goes back towards my hips, and that's what lifts the hips. Then you can start to turn the spine, trying to leave your shoulder blade behind. I'm trying to move my right foot so you can see the left, even if you bend your left knee, that's cool. Don't worry about that. Okay, you wanna get the inside edge of your right foot on the ground the best you can by everting the ankle. Okay, option to reach the right arm. Now what balances you in the left hand is the pinky and the thumb pressing down into the ground and pushing, of course, through the metacarpals. Okay, really pushing all the way up through your chest so that your whole spine arcs like a back bend and a side bend. Pinky and thumb really press into the ground. Big toe of the left foot into the ground. Try to really reach it to the ground. Okay, come back around, bend the knees if you wish, and let's give the hands a break. Now, what I'm doing to get into that side plank is as I'm rotating, maybe we do this together at the wall. Okay, you'll see, as I rotate the spine, a lot of you are gonna have this tendency that I have, I've never seen anybody that doesn't have the tendency without having worked at it, is that when you turn your chest, your shoulder comes forward like this. That's going to destabilize and throw off the pose. We want to, and also, if you get here and you're like, okay, cool, I'm in the pose, let me move my shoulder back, either you'll be stuck or you'll just throw yourself off of balance. So it has to be shoulders back to begin with, and don't change that as you turn your chest. Otherwise, again, you'll fall trying to reestablish and move the shoulder blade. And it may not be, I don't know, appropriate at that point. If you're already up weight bearing, then come down and reset the shoulder before going further in, okay? Now, the balance points, pinky and thumb, but my 3 middle fingers are still very active in side plank, and that's really what's stabilizing the wrist, but the giving me a lot of strength in the forearm so that this isn't painful in the wrist. Also, again, increasing the angle, increasing the diagonal, your arm does not have to be directly below your shoulder. In fact, you can move it further in front for more, a little more stability there, but also less wrist flexion, wrist extension, less wrist extension. All right, so down dog, please. Let's take the right foot, step between the hands. I'm going to turn the back heel down. Walk the hands to the inside of your right foot. And see if you can take your elbows down. We're just going to stretch the abductors and hamstrings a little bit more in this modified lizard variation. One more full breath. Okay, come on out. You can actually just switch sides however you want to. Walk the hands to the inside of the left foot. Legs strong, groins back, and maybe try to get the elbows down to a block or the ground. Of course, pressing the feet towards the ground and inward toward each other with some of the effort, maybe 15% of your effort. All right, come on out. Now, let's switch sides again, and just to warm up the ankle, you're gonna bring your right foot forward and more towards the left side of the yoga mat, and you try to keep the big toe down as you move the right knee to the right. So try to keep the big toe down, big toe mound down as you move your right knee to the right, and this is gonna evert the ankle here. So if I invert, then you're gonna see the foot rolls like this, and try to evert and move the knee off to the side. Now, most people have struggled a little bit with this, okay, because it requires strength of the fibularis muscles and flexibility of the muscles that, like tibialis posterior muscle that runs down the instep, tends to be tight for most people because we tend to be inverted more chronically. Most of us tend to be more inverted throughout our day, and it's partially due to shoes, of course, and as a result, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get this eversion. Okay, let's switch sides. And if you're not seeing big results, that's normal. We want to take your time. We don't want to be like trying to jam ourselves in here, but we do want to put effort forth, right? You want to try to reach the big toe towards the ground. You want to try to move the knee away from it and have this everted ankle. It just takes some time. And you know, while I would love, you know, for you to kind of push it and get it today and feel the rewards, it's a hazardous way of practicing to just try to push to get a result, but rather put the effort forth and repeat it in order to get the results over time. This is a less injurious way and more short shot way to actually get to where you're going, instead of diverting from the path because of an injury. Okay, then release. Now, the next couple of postures is going to be at the wall, but what you'll do is you'll take the mat to the wall. And I know we're running over time, I apologize. Let's see if we can get this in fairly quickly. You could put the mat up the wall a little bit if you like. Now, to start, most of you like practicing here are not gonna have the full everted ankle. And so this is gonna give you a little bit of a feeling of what it's like to fully evert the ankle. And you can see I'm putting my foot catty corner on a diagonal to the wall. This still requires a tremendous amount of eversion. Okay, you can take your left hand more or less in line with the left foot, but you see it's on a diagonal. You can move the shoulder back, and we start with like a wild thing position. So the right foot is back behind us, shoulder back, thumb, pinky, all the other fingers gripping. And I move my hips a little towards the wall. It's okay if you lift your right heel up. The objective here is to get this bottom foot, the ankle towards the wall, the inner ankle towards the wall. So think bottom inner ankle towards the wall by lifting your hips up high and trying to press the big toe and big toe mound into the wall. That is what's going to give you the stability to eventually bring your right foot to, say, a tree pose. If you don't have the instep of your foot towards the wall, then it's going to be very unbalanced. Okay, come on down. It'll be very unbalanced because the foot won't have maximum stability. If you're just on the outer edge of the foot, that requires a tremendous amount of kind of core stability and shoulder stability that most of us, really, it's not worth trying to do anyway. I mean, it's great for the core or whatever, but it's hard on the wrist. So my suggestion is use your foot. But that's hard too. It's hard to get the foot to get to the wall, and I totally get it. So let's go here. No, I think this was the best angle. Okay, so I try to get the instep, the big toe and big toe mound and inner heel to the wall, and you got to keep your knee bent for that. And remember, you know, you could think big toe to the wall. You could also think thumb into the ground at the same time. Those can be kind of connected. I also press my pinky toe into the ground as well, even though I'm really trying to reach the big toe of my foot towards the wall. Now, start with an arch. Remember I said leave the shoulder behind, lift the body up over the shoulder. Okay, move your weight towards the wall. And I'd suggest coming on the tippy toes of your left foot for today, since we're not really going for a wild thing. Okay, and press the hips up to the sky. Pinky and thumb into the ground. Hand rotates out if it's not already. And if you're feeling any kind of pain in the wrist, play around a little. Press your pinky edge of the hand down more and see if that feels better on the wrist. Press your thumb side of the hand down into the ground and see if that feels better in the wrist. Press your metacarpals down into the ground and see if that feels better in the wrist. And ultimately, your exploration between those three actions, one of them is going to feel better and bring you out of pain. Stay with that one, okay? And then you can assess, maybe there's a different alignment you can take when you come down and rework the alignment of the pose. Okay, so next, we're gonna do the same thing, except for full Vashisthasana. The suggestion is to use this wall, and you push your weight towards the wall. Maybe just watch this round, okay? So I move my shoulder back behind me, I get my thumb and my pinky, and then my other fingers gripping the ground, so this is rotation of the shoulder. Arch the back, and I move my weight towards the wall, okay? Again, my shoulder is rotated around. Thumb is pressing down, pinky is pressing down, and my big toe is trying to push into the wall. Now you can take your right foot to the wall and move your weight towards the wall, okay? Some of you might be able to grab your knee or even just push into your knee and have your knee push back. Some of you might be able to bend the standing knee a little bit to grab the foot and maybe extend the leg. That's, of course, the most of the challenges. Okay, so three, pretty distinct variations: foot on the wall, tree pose variation. Sometimes holding the knee is great. I like to actually push the knee into my hand, gets my hip flexors active, gives me a little more stability. And some of you might grab the outer edge of the foot or the big toe and extend the leg up, or may not even extend the leg up, just grab the foot. Might be a nice intermediate step between those. Okay, paying attention to your pinky and thumb, and of course the other three fingers as well, and the rotation of your left arm. And of course the big toe pressing into the wall, excuse me. Shoulder back, spin the arm, pinky and thumb, rise up, let the right heel lift up today, and climb the right foot onto the wall. This is stage one. I would stay here for most of us, okay? And just focus on pinky and thumb, finding the balance in the left hand, and then pressing the big toe of the left foot into the wall. Option two, press your knee into your hand or grab your knee. And option three, grab your foot, and the way that you do that is bend the knee, okay? And get more into the standing foot. Option two, extend the leg, maybe straighten through the bottom leg, maybe the top leg, and come down. It's not something that you want to stay forever, okay? So it's better to do multiple repetitions and keep switching sides than it is to stay and kind of fight the good fight or whatever, because you want the wrist muscles to build over time. Let me show from this angle from the other side. Let's go to the right. Thumb and pinky, and again, you're gonna try to evert the foot. Some of you might be finding this fairly easy, in which case you take your foot actually off the wall completely, and see right now I'm off the wall completely. I'm still gonna use the wall, okay, for my top foot, but as I come up, I can get the whole sole of the foot on the ground, you see, with my right knee bent, and then I come up, but this is eventually what's gonna be required of you to get that E version of the ankle in order to get the full variation without a wall nearby, is that you are eventually going to have that E version of the ankle, but the hips have to lift up really high. It's not just a lot of E version of the ankle that needs to happen. Your hips have to get up really high, because otherwise, no matter how flexible your ankle is, you just won't have that range of motion. So hips up high, use your back muscles, kind of get up in there, and remember that your pinky and your thumb are your balance points in the hand. More weight in the feet gives you more access to your hip muscles, more balance in the posture. If you put more weight in your hand, you're asking for a bigger challenge to balance the pose. I'll give you a couple moments to explore that, and we gotta cool down here since we're running out of time, or ran out of time, I should say. And sticking with the theme of everting the ankle today, when you're done with your side plank, we'll do pigeon with shin on the block so that the foot hangs off and can be everted fairly easy, just like so. Okay. Option to bow forward, bow to the side, whichever you like. So you see my foot is everted. This would be inverted this way. This is everted this way. It's also dorsiflexed, but if I wanted to plantar flex and evert, it would look like this, whereas inversion and plantar flexion would look like this. Dorsiflexion and inversion like this, dorsiflexion and eversion like this. Okay. Okay, and you can just kind of roll off to switch sides. You will have to change the angle of your block.
of the
block. You can roll right onto your back. Happy baby pose or hugging the knees to the chest. And you can release into Shavasana. Bring your awareness back to your breath. And waking the fingers and toes. Roll to your side. And come up to a seated position. Hands to the heart center. bow in honor of this body and this practice and this community. I thank you all so much for taking the time to step into your body today, practice with me and everyone here. Namaste. All right, thank you all. It's been a pleasure to share this one with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Just answer, Claire has a question. Okay, hard on my side body, but feel that I did it good. Guess my upper body maybe needed to stretch more. Yeah, sure. If you're struggling to get that side bend, Claire, then yeah, some more reverse warriors, the side bend child's pose, side angle pose is more side bending, or even like seated side bends might help you, like one of these guys here. You know, any other kind of side bend that you can think of might be really helpful. If the side body's tight, that could really help free that up. But ultimately doing side planks and strengthening each side and really focusing on getting more side body strength in order to stretch the opposite side. So by engaging the obliques of the bottom side of the side plank, you know, if you treat it like a side bend. So instead of doing a side plank like a straight plank pose, make it into a side bend. The upper side will be stretching, the bottom side will be strengthening. That ultimately is going to free you up more so than any sort of side bend, because it's going to strengthen the muscles as you're also beginning to lengthen them. So you're going to develop health and suppleness in that muscle group, in the obliques and cue up. All right. Any other questions or things to share from the practice, please feel free to put it in the chat. And just a real quick note that the next immersion is going to begin in August. I don't know what the start date is. Let me check what the start date is exactly. So we're in August here. It looks like it's likely the 1st. Let me just, I'll clarify that, but we do have, no, maybe not. Maybe, no. It'll be the 3rd. August 3rd, because the 31st is a Saturday, that's in July. Okay, so it begins August 3rd. 2, 4, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, exactly. Okay. So the immersion begins August 3rd. Again, we have a limited time discount right now going on for you. Please use the link in the email that I sent you for a discount. I'll put it in this page as well. And right now it's on pre-sale, so you get the fullest discount possible if you are watching this live. Today is July 22nd, so it's still on pre-sale. If you're not watching this live, I apologize. You'll still get a discount you'll still get the $10 discount using the code based on whatever the price is at that time. So you always get a discount for being a member, but the price varies depending on time. I always have it on pre-sale before the immersion starts. And so that immersion is on pre-sale right now if you're watching this live, or before August. And you do have a discount code that you can share with your friends, which is super exciting. And I would love for you to bring in your friends to this immersion. It's Let's Practice Together. And again, that's in your email, so check that. I'll probably list that on this page as well above this by the end of today or tomorrow. So you'll have it here as well. So Let's Practice Together is the discount code you can share with your friends. And that way they get the same $10 discount that you get this month only. Okay, let me just check. I saw some of you are commenting here. So Debbie says, thank you for a great class. I have always practiced with the sole of the foot on the mat, but great to revisit this. Awesome, I'm glad to hear that, Debbie. Spooey says, thanks so much. Challenging for me to push with hand not stacked underneath the shoulder. Maybe being double jointed and compromised with tears on both my shoulders. This pose is difficult. Yeah, with the shoulder tear, that I could see that. Maybe jump. If you find that it's easier with your hand directly under your shoulder, go for it, Sabu. I'm not I wouldn't discourage that if it feels stronger to you, then definitely. For most people, it does not. It feels stronger when the hand's not directly, and that's because the wrist is not so overly extended, and it's also that push of the body towards the legs is easier. But by all means, if you find that stack is easier, that's great. Go for that then. Dag says, thank you every time I'm learning small, so helpful things. Great, glad to hear that, Dag. Michaela says, thank you so much. Michaela, by the way, thank you for the inspiration for next month's immersion. I took your idea and kind of finessed it a little bit based on what you wanted, kind of a range of different types of classes, vinyasa style, but we're going to include meditation in there, and the purpose for rejuvenation and kind of getting back to our energy levels. Patty says, thank you for a great class. Love the exercises on the wall, at the wall to work on getting the entire foot on the mat. Glad to hear it. And Patty, you are from Los Angeles, LA. Thanks for joining us this morning. Amalia from Greece, thank you so very much. Much appreciated. All right. And it's everybody. It's Dags in Stuttgart right now. Okay. Well, see you on the next one, which is, if you're watching this live, it's going to be the 24th, Saturday. See you then, everybody, and look forward to a few more practices together in this immersion. Hope to have you in the next one. Take care.